Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Yuzuru, the game is Starship Online, and I am very, very bored at the moment, so we're going to do something a little bit silly. Welcome to an attempt at the Impulse speed record in Star Trek Online. We'll quickly walk through the configuration here. Aegis Hyper Impulse engines, plus 31.5 flight speed. Bear in mind that we are running at 125 impulse power, so that value is modifying. It's got a base value of 18. Let's see what else. Impulse capacitance cell, auxiliary batteries, you'll see why we need those in a moment, and much other gear. The gear itself isn't the real thing, however. I mean, you're never going to make high speeds on gear alone. The key thing is what we're going to be doing with this sequence of abilities. First off, 125 engine power, or rather 100 baseline plus 25 up on bonuses. We then have 85 auxiliary power. The plan is that we will dump in an auxiliary power setting, kick in AP Omega to get another boost to flight speed, then override the subsystem safeties. That should take everything up to 150 power, specifically engines and auxiliary. We'll then kick in auxiliary dampeners, which should boost flight speed even to more ludicrous levels. Lastly, we will kick in the impulse capacitor for yet more speed, and finally we will lock in rock and roll to double up on everything. I've got no idea how well this is going to work, so let's just try it. We're in Earth orbit. As you can see, we have a nice solid run up ahead of us. Space dock is in the distance. You're never going to see this particular view normally, so enjoy that. We'll come into the turn, line up for the run, and stabilize the speed at 83.99. Right then, let's try this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and rock and roll. What did we break? 805, but I think we actually went faster when we weren't rocking and rolling. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Let's do a turn. We'll wait for everything to cool down, and we're now firmly on the other side of Earth's space dock. I suppose the other thing we could try is doing this in the Rizian Corvette. Might have to try that in a second. Oh yes, also traits. The key one really is from the Delta rep tree, 25% flight speed from advanced engines. There's not a lot else you can use by way of speed to be had. I mean, Starship Traits, there may well be something obscure, possibly over on the Klingon side, or the Romulan side that boosts speed, but really the Federation don't have all that much. And character traits, of course, well, again, there isn't all that much to be had that goes for either engine power, auxiliary power, or indeed anything else relevant. So, although warp core potential from warp theorists is always handy, more power is good. Okay, I think we're just about coming off cooldowns. We've still got another minute or so on the impulse capacitor. I'm a little surprised that some of those bonuses didn't quite seem to stack, but that may have just been that the first cooldowns were coming off. Can we tweak the sequence here? How long does override subsystems go? Okay, effect lasts 20 seconds. Omega goes for 5. Oh, right, okay, so we'll put Omega in third. Subsystems first, because I think we lost Omega just before we triggered rock and roll. Let's try this, see if we get faster again. And of course, oh, that's what I forgot. Emergency power to engines. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's plug that in as well. Again, as before, that's a relatively long burn power to work with, 30 seconds, so we'll pop that as one of the early ones. In fact, we'll make that our first shot, because we need auxiliary in right as we hit the dampeners. Okay, so let's try this again. Again, come up to speed, run past space dock, stabilize, 89.31 for some reason. Make the turn. We are still, and in 3, 2, 1. Engines, auxiliary, override, dampeners, Omega, burn and go. Come on, rock and roll. 1053. Yes! We broke 1000 impulse. Oh yeah, I have no idea if that's a speed record or not, but we're gonna find out. Let's just try it with the Corvette. The problem is we're not going to be able to use override safeties for this. That's what we're going to lose. On the other hand, we're going to get the Rizian turbo modules, so we might just be able to break 1100. I wonder. Well, there's really only one thing to do. Come on, full impulse. Let's get back to Starbase slowly. Okay, so select the ship, bring up the Bluebird, and ready her up. As you can probably guess, this thing has been used for speed trials in the past. Also, I could probably load a better warp core, couldn't I? Additional engine power. I don't think there's anything that really goes directly into speed, so we'll just load in the counter command warp core, because that comes with some bonus engine power. Aegis is already loaded. Let's see, what else do we need to load? The Delta... there we go. The subspace wake generator. We've got 3 booster modulators in. We've got an auxiliary battery loaded. I don't think there's much else that we need by way of gear, strictly speaking. Although... that's flight turn rate, not speed. I don't think there is anything that actually improves flight speed per se. But let's take a quick look through. 1.8 power, crit chance, crit severity. A lot of this is more about damage than anything. Enhanced plasma manifold. We'll load that up because we don't. That will partially counter the loss of override subsystem safeties, but I don't think there's anything else that kicks in. No, I mean even the soliton wave generator. Yes. We'll have that as well. Right, let's beam up, check the bridge stations, and see what we need to load. There is a trait, I believe, momentum, that you can use for another 2.5%. Anyway, let's roll out. And while we're at it, start switching in bridge officers. So, first thing we want is Alison. She's got the speed configuration for this. So, augs to inertial, emergency to engines 3, and that's what we need from her. Then over on the intelligence side, really all we're going to be able to deploy at this point is AP Omega, because we're not in an intelligence ship. Engine capacitor, not really relevant. We're going to be pushing way past engine limits anyway. So first thing that will kick in as before is the auxiliary battery, which I'll need to load up quickly. I keep forgetting. It'd be nice if you could do that. Just drag and drop from the inventory. So auxiliary battery first. Then augs to dampeners fairly late down the sequence. AP Omega, pretty much the last thing you kick in before the capacitance cell. Enhanced plasma manifold, I think, yeah, that will go in almost as the next last thing. Impulse burst right at the end. Rock and roll to finish, of course. The problem is that this sequence is going to be so long to activate that I think we might actually have a problem with this engaging. Now, how long does this take to tick down? Let's just time it. So, 7, okay, so 8 seconds. So we'll, if we actually lead with that and then go for the speed boost. Yeah, you can see the speed boost kicking in. Okay, so we'll lead off with the soliton wave generator, and that will actually give us a countdown as well. So that's not too shabby. Then the next thing we will need is the wake generator, subspace wake. And of course then finally rock and indeed roll. Okay, so this maneuver is going to be a little bit more complicated. Start with the soliton wave. Then we go to emergence auxiliary to battery, we override the limits, kick in augs to dampeners, kick in AP Omega. By that point, the soliton wave generator should have finished, and we can then go for the... Sorry, I've got those the wrong way around. Subspace wake and soliton wave need to switch. So, let's double check the preparation on this one. Soliton wave first. That starts its 8-second countdown and gives us an engine power boost as well. Not that we'll get any use out of it. Auxiliary to battery kicks in while we're preparing. Increase the power limits using the enhanced plasma manifold. Again, boosting on top. Actually, are those on mutual lockouts? No, they are not. Good. Right, so we're definitely going to be up against the buffers on both auxiliary and indeed engine power. You can see they've both popped to 135 there. Augs to dampeners then kicks in, 123% strength. AP Omega for the speed boost, then the final 2 burns to get us up to speed. So all we have to do now is wait for... Okay, we are in business. All abilities off cooldown. So, same drill as before. Come up to speed. Mouse to position. Basic speed 97.04. This thing is faster by default than the Phantom. So, let's begin. 1. Engines up. Speed up. Tracking. Dampeners engage. Omega engages. Tracking once. Engage. Burn, 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 burn. What did we just get? I think we clicked past 11. Yeah, clicked past 1200. Ladies and gentlemen, 1209 impulse. I think we may have a new speed record in STO, and we've also slammed into the edge of the map. Ladies and gentlemen, can you beat 1200 impulse? The challenge is set. This is purely for bragging rights. I look forward to seeing replies and specs. Until next time, I've been Yusril, and farewell.